On paper, the blueprint for a Kentucky graduate in 2026 is a synchronized sequence of early literacy benchmarks, advanced math foundations, and readiness for a high-tech workforce. To reach this, state agencies have built a framework of multi-year accountability models, expanded career and technical pathways, and integrated AI-era digital literacy directly into the curriculum. But in local districts, these sophisticated policy goals are hitting a physical bottleneck. Schools across the state are operating with a level of human bandwidth that is stretched to the breaking point. Advanced data models and academic strategies cannot function when the operational foundation, the literal presence of staff in the building, is missing. The 2025 Kentucky Educator Shortage Survey puts a specific number on this strain: 2,421 total vacancies. Of those, 671 are certified teaching roles, while the remaining 1,621 fall into the category of classified staff. In practice, these vacancies mean missing the people who sustain a campus: the drivers for bus routes, the staff for school kitchens, and the custodians maintaining the facilities. When those roles sit empty, teachers and principals are pulled out of their instructional duties to cover the gap. They end up monitoring hallways, sorting out transportation logistics, and managing the daily mechanics of the building. This drain on implementation bandwidth makes it almost impossible to execute new initiatives. A district can adopt the best literacy model available, but it fails if teachers lack the scheduled time to actually train on it. The first casualty is student attendance. Without enough counselors or family liaisons to conduct early outreach, schools lose the ability to catch attendance patterns before they become chronic. When students are absent, they miss early reading instruction. When they return, the school often lacks the support staff needed to run the specialized intervention blocks required to help them catch up. This shows up in the state-level data. On the 2024 NAEP assessments, Kentucky's 8th grade math score averaged 271 and reading averaged 258, both virtually identical to the national average. The middle grades act as the ultimate pressure point for this chain reaction. By 8th grade, any unaddressed gaps in literacy or math foundations become glaring obstacles to high school success. The flatline in these statewide scores reflects a system where the time and staff required for academic intervention are instead being consumed by basic daily operations. Kentucky is attempting to measure this progress more fairly by shifting to an accountability model based on multi-year change data. The goal is to judge a school based on its trajectory over 3 years, rather than a single one-year snapshot of performance. But even a 3-year window struggles to account for the reality on the ground. Schools are often trying to show consistent growth while dealing with high-mobility student populations and unpredictable staffing. This creates a constant tension. Districts are held accountable for long-term academic improvement while facing staffing instability that they cannot solve at the local level. While the data provides a clear picture of performance, it also highlights how schools are often penalized for systemic operational failures that exist far beyond the classroom wall. This friction at the classroom level eventually moves to the state level, fueling intense political and legal battles over how Kentucky's K-12 system should be structured and funded. In September 2025, the Kentucky Supreme Court heard arguments regarding the constitutionality of House Bill 9, which sought to establish public funding mechanisms for charter schools. At the same time, voters considered Amendment 2, which would have allowed public funds to support non-public education options, a move supporters framed as expanding choice and opponents saw as a threat to public school budgets. These legal fights are not just about philosophy. They are a reaction to the bottlenecked system. When the traditional model is stretched thin, the pressure for alternative funding and oversight structures increases. The data shows that when a statewide system struggles to maintain its implementation bandwidth, it triggers existential questions about the very definition of a public school. These challenges look different depending on the map. Urban districts manage complex student mobility, while rural towns face a restricted labor pool that makes every single bus driver or custodian vacancy a critical threat to school operations. It's clear that isolated solutions are ineffective. You cannot fix literacy scores without fixing attendance, and you cannot fix attendance without the staff required for outreach and transportation. Improving statewide outcomes requires addressing dependencies. Staffing must stabilize before attendance can improve, and attendance must improve before literacy can take root. Kentucky's education story in 2026 isn't a single headline. It's a fragile ecosystem where progress in one area, like a new math curriculum, is only possible if the foundational staffing and student supports are held together.